Okay, so our first speaker is Kathleen Griffin. She's a senior in international studies here at NC State. She's a Park Scholar and vice president of the International Studies Club. She also studied in Egypt, Ghana, and conducted anthropological research in Florence, Italy. So please welcome Kathleen Griffin.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen, and I'm a senior in international studies. And today I'm going to talk about technology and the incredible potential it has to empower citizen journalists and to empower collective social change. So what type of technologies am I talking about? I'm talking about social networking technologies, so technologies like mobile phones and video phones and social networking sites like Facebook and Twitter. And if you're here for session one, I know that Chase and Eric talked about these, and I'm actually going to make a bit of a case for fast technology, but I assure you that we're going to be Facebook friends, so it's okay. So if any of you in the audience have smartphones or iPhones or Blackberries, you know that this technology is constantly evolving, and it's actually created a new way to communicate worldwide, and it's actually creating a new vocabulary. So to give a little example of this, I did an experiment with my mom the other day, and the idea was I would say a word, and we'd both describe the first image that came into our minds, and I invite you to do the same. So the first, text. Tweet, MySpace, BlackBerry, and viral. Okay, if any of you have seen the video, Charlie Bit My Finger, you know the power of technology, and you also know the speed at which things can be shared online and spread across the world. And one of the reasons for this is the accessibility of this technology. And I'm a humanities major, but I know some of you in there like numbers, so I have a few figures for you. According to the International Telecommunications Union, there are 5.3 billion cellular subscriptions worldwide and counting. And close to 200,000 text messages are sent every second. If you don't believe me, you can ask my mom about our cell phone bill because she can surely attest to this figure. And according to Twitter, there are 95 million tweets written each day. And these topics range from Family Guy quotes to international breaking news. And that's what I want to talk about today. So because millions of people are connected through these technologies, people can come together to do some really amazing things. Things like a flash mob dance or the no pants subway ride. Yes, people got text to show up on a subway without pants just for fun. But they can also lead to things like the Green Revolution protests in Iran and the more recent Day of Revolt in Egypt. And Egyptians used Facebook and Twitter to mobilize protests in the country, even in the face of government censorship. So I just want to tell you a little bit about how I got interested in this topic and a little bit about my research. Last August, I went to a documentary titled Fornetta, which followed the life and death of a young Iranian woman who was shot and killed in the streets of Tehran in 2009 during the protests. And her death was actually caught on a cell phone video by someone in the streets, uploaded on the internet, and shared with millions of people. And when I was watching the video, I was really struck by her image. I couldn't get it out of my head. So when I went home, I went on the computer, and I found it on YouTube. And in the little sidebar of related videos, I saw a clip of President Obama making a comment about the video at one of his White House press conferences. And I thought to myself, how amazing that a clip taken by some bystander in one of the most censored countries in the world could prompt a response from the President of the United States in a matter of hours after the incident. And so this is what really got me interested. And so what I did was I looked at 3 different case studies and looked at how social networking technologies and social media are used as tools. And so the first tool I looked at was a tool for public health, and I looked at the 2003 Chinese SARS outbreak. And so during a time when China was being very selective about what information they were giving to the public, the citizens turned to Twitter and text messaging to send health information to friends and family. And one figure shows that at the peak of the SARS-related rumors in China on February 10th, 2003, a total of 45 million short text messages were transmitted on that single day. I also looked at social networking technologies as a tool for bearing witness, and I looked at the 2004 Southeast Asian tsunami, but you could also look at more recent events like Haiti and Japan, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. And in the aftermath of the tsunami, mainstream media outlets just weren't prepared to report on the news. They didn't have correspondents in these areas. So a lot of the information that they needed were coming from citizens on the ground through texts and tweets and videos for missing people to tell families that they were okay, and actually just to garner some international attention and international aid. If you remember, even now, the Red Cross has text for donations. So that's something that, that they used for disasters. And then I looked at it as a tool for social activism, and I looked at the 2009 Iranian elections because that's really what got me interested in the first place. And so in Iran, as the protests started after the elections, professional journalists were asked to leave or expelled. And so all the information coming out of Iran were also coming from citizens. And what I thought was really great is that the State Department actually contacted Twitter and asked them to postpone scheduled maintenance so as not to block Iranians from sending their information out. And so what a great partnership, and I thought that was really amazing. And again, if you've been on CNN, iReport, a lot of the mainstream news outlets are also taking these citizen reports into their main news. So it's actually become something very prominent today, and I collected a few headlines from recent articles, and I have to say my favorite is the Egyptian baby named Facebook, because of everything that it did for the revolution. I thought that was pretty great. So I know in the last week or so we've all been watching to see what's been happening in Japan. I know my roommates and I actually have a friend teaching English there, and we were on our Facebook constantly because we wanted to see if she was going to post something about her situation and if she was okay. And so Twitter and Facebook and all these social networking technologies have actually been really useful in the aftermath. And so I just wanted to show two different articles that I found that are very recent about how these technologies are helping. So this is the first, and I just want to read a quote from it because I thought it was really important. The first, it took a woman, an earthquake back in her homeland, to log onto Twitter for the first time. She said, quote, "I was relying on conventional media initially, but Twitter is by far the best. You realize you can share the sense of fear more easily, and it makes you feel close to the people affected and those who are concerned about Japan." And I also found a really touching story. There was a woman who was teaching English, who was learning English in California, and she had heard that her hometown had been devastated by the tsunami, and she had given up hope that her family had survived. But a friend tipped her off to a YouTube video that actually showed her sister in a hard hat near the wreckage, calling out to her sister in America that she was all right. So as you can see, audiovisual media and personal accounts are really moving, they're powerful, and they are transmitted through these new technologies, and they're really empowering ordinary citizens to shed light on humanitarian crises, social injustices, and natural disasters that might otherwise remain in the shadows. So as you text and you tweet, I'd consider you to think about what it can do for the international, the way we conduct ourselves and spread news internationally, and hopefully actually be a tool for a real social change. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.